Hello, everyone. This is a part two of the video that I just shared. And I've had some time to really drop in, to feel the feelings of the anger and frustration and really what's behind the truth. And there's a couple things I want to give reference to. I say in the last video this quote, which is nothing real can be threatened. And that is actually from A Course in Miracles. So you can look at that. You can look that up, which I love. And the other piece is, what do I plan to do moving forward? What is sort of my higher perspective around all of this? So, first and foremost, what I was saying around, if I was a vaudeville act, and I think it's really funny, I am using this metaphor of performing because in a lot of ways, we are trying to perform for our parents, for our loved ones. We're trying to be a version that is acceptable and where we feel like we'll get the most love and etc. So I think it's really funny that I don't think I realized it until watching it that I made reference to, oh, I've been performing in a lot of ways for them, which is why I kept saying how tired I felt. And this is what's interesting. And when I opened up to my both my parents and my sister, when I told them the truth about how I'm living, I was hoping that that would lead to a much more authentic relationship where I didn't feel I had to perform anymore, where I could be honest. And I understood that this is strange for them to wrap their head around how I'm living. I'm living in surrender. I don't necessarily have a permanent home and I'm not really making plans. I'm really just allowing things to come to me. So I understand that there's a certain level of they don't really understand that. And it's going to be a learning curve. I get that. But this has been building for some time now where I will feel like I'm really getting through to them. And I feel like, oh, maybe they're actually listening. And then the next week it's like they have amnesia and they ask the same questions again, and I'm like, I already told you, and I told you how long I'm here for, and I told you, like, they act as if they don't remember, or maybe they genuinely don't remember. I don't know, but it's very frustrating. I had been building, right? And in fact, my mother had keep she kept saying this thing, which was, well, as long as you're happy, and she would do this eye roll. And so here's my solution. I understand that this is a pattern of not feeling seen, not feeling understood, and also feeling like the way that I'm living is wrong. And this is a huge pattern. This is how I've been feeling for the majority of my life, because so many of the things that I do and the way that I am is so different than what they thought they probably wanted for me. I'm not married. I don't have a family of my own. I don't own a house. I don't know. I don't have some making these, big, huge career. You know what I mean? So I think for them, it's just, I'm like this weirdo or this person that they're trying really hard to understand, but they don't. Right. So let me just say what my plan is. When my father or mother or anyone in my family will make a comment that is triggering to me, and any trigger that you have, the tendency is you shut down. Well, not everybody does this, right? You might have a different coping mechanism. You might lash out. I shut down, and I tend to revert all the way to the extreme where I'm like kind of a bitchy teenager. Like, for instance, my dad will say, what do you do all day? And I'll be like, I do nothing. I just sit in my room and I stare at the ceiling. That's all I do. Like, I'll be that kind of like F you. I do nothing. Like, I'll go to the extreme. Um, so here's my higher solution. And I started to do this actually. 2 weeks ago, my mother made that comment again around, oh, as long as you're happy. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she says, well, I just mean, as long as this makes you happy, how you're living. And she's like, I would never live like. I said, exactly. That is the subtext to what you're actually saying. And that hurts me. I'm not asking you to live this way. We are very different people, clearly. So can you just let me share what's going on without making that kind of comment? Because it actually hurts my feelings when you say that. And she's just like, well, okay. Well, I don't know how she went on a little bit, and then we just kind of like changed the subject. But what I planning to do is to start doing that more, where I'm going to change my response rather than shut down or be this like stubborn, teenager, like, "Meh," you know, um, because truly nothing changes. Nothing will ever change. People won't change until we change our response to them. And so when I was referring to being on stage and being this vaudeville person, or just giving that example, and I was saying, but I know nothing real can be threatened, meaning who I really truly am and my true authentic path. Like, you can't mess with that. I know the truth of who I am. I know why I'm doing this. I know this is what makes me happy and fulfilled and at peace. And so therefore, truly, eventually, the comments and the rolling of the eyes and all of these things, they really won't affect me. They really won't. Now, I understand that with family, it's layers. So it's probably going to take time. And I'm totally open and available for that. I will put in however much effort because it's worth it for me. Because as we evolve and grow, our relationships also need to evolve and grow. I can't just be like, oh, they don't understand me, so I'm gonna never talk to them again, or I'm gonna, punish them in some way because they should see me already. It's so frustrating, and I always have to be the bigger person. You hear this kind of jargon all the time. I have to always be the bigger person. Yeah, 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 you do. And yes, I do, and I take this on because it's worth it for me. It is 1,000% worth it for me. I know what it's like. Just the other day, I posted this video on how amazing I've been feeling. Do you understand that it's worth it to feel that freedom? Because I know that when I show up each and every day, I'm doing the work to go, okay, this feels triggering. Okay, let me look and see, da 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 da. And this, like because there's an internal peace that cannot be messed with, that you earn. And it's not, I don't want to say it's like, no, because it is work, but it's worth it. It's just worth it. And you know it when you feel it. I don't want, the name of the game is not to just close people off and close our hearts and just point fingers and say it's them and not me. The name of the game is to continue to stay open hearted, because your heart gets open, and then therefore more experience, more opportunity, you'll just continue to evolve and grow, and you just feel good. It just feels better to live that way. So I will do the work. And the other thing I will say is, before I get on the phone with either one of my parents, I will have an intention. Please let me have a voice. Please let me stay in my high voice or in my higher voice when I'm talking to them. Please let me remember who I really am when I'm talking to them, because it can be so easy to just fall asleep and go right into the old pattern. And so I will have that intention. Intention is so big because you're like putting this beautiful, energetic blanket over this conversation, this exchange, and you're saying, let me remember not to fall asleep in this conversation, not to go back to the separate self, And sometimes we're going to forget, and that's fine. I'm never going to blame myself for that. Like I said, this is a relationship that, you know, is worth working on. because it's a reflection of me. It's a reflection of us. So like it's always worth working on, you know? And yeah, it's funny because when I was thinking about that example of the throwing the tomatoes and like just keep showing up, I was like, some people would say, like, oh no, you can create a boundary and say we can't talk about this. But truly, when you really truly have healed the part of you that needs them to understand, it kind of like changes the whole dynamic. And I know that may never go away, and I'm fine with that. They are my parents. I will probably always, some sort of subconscious level, need that from them, and that's fine. But then there'll be moments where I won't, and then I'll be like, yeah, that felt good. I felt like I was really myself in that moment, and it just feels good. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share. And let me know in the comments if any of this resonated, if you got anything from it, and sending you guys so much love.